Hello, and welcome to Rugby Through the Leagues podcast. We want to keep shining a light on rugby that is not shown in the mainstream media. I am Carl, and thanks for joining us on the next instalment of Rugby Through the Leagues podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the pod and keep in touch with us on our social media platforms. As mentioned in the other week's pods, I'm currently on the road still, so a lot of this is pre-recorded. A lot of the opinions have probably played out, but we also get to see the raw opinions when we get to speak to those amazing guests. This week we have Sean Shepherd on from Havant Rugby Club. Sean was one of the best players I had the opportunity to play with. He's currently scoring tries for fun at Havant during this season's promotion and getting ready for Nat 2 rugby next season. Sean suffered a serious injury at a crucial time in his career, which actually affected his potential career path. So we managed to discuss with Sean how that can change so quickly and whether those doors are reopened again as well. As I mentioned at the end of last week's pod, Sean's recently got engaged, so congratulations to Sean and future Mrs. Shepherd. Let's just get on with another great rugby chat.
Right, so this week we've got Sean Shepherd on. I know recently I've had a lot of coaches, a lot of DORs, a lot of the higher echelons, but I've managed to reach back into the old playbook and bring back, probably my personal opinion, one of the best players I ever got the opportunity to play with at Gosport. Now ploughing his trade over at Havant. We've obviously name dropped Havant a fair bit in this pod, so trying to delve into what their recent successes are. So, Sean, thank you so much for your time, mate. And for those who aren't aware of yourself, just drop who you are, where you've been, and we'll sort of go through your rugby journey, mate.
Absolutely. I first started playing rugby when I was 4 years old. The mini youth down at Gosport. Played there all my youth rugby. Dabbled a little bit in with the county setup growing up. Didn't get much chance with that, but selections are selections. That is what it is.
Gosport's always a bit like that as well, though, isn't it? Because it's not quite
the big club.
It's not in the forefront, is it? So Gosport, some lads are lucky they do get picked, and some don't, do they? So no, it's another one of them that the system potentially doesn't cover that. So obviously, Hampshire set up as and when. Then
and then I made my senior debut when I was 17, maybe in the second half of the season that year.
Yeah.
Played a few games for the twos, made first team debut. I remember, I think I played Cobham at home, I believe it was, come off the bench. And then I maybe had a couple more games in the twos and then made my start.
Was that London Southwest 2?
One.
Was it
one?
Was the one league? Yeah,
then.
Nice. So that's what, level 6, level 5, level 6?
Level 6.
Yeah.
So I think I think that was that year. We either got relegated or we got
we stayed up and then went down the season after.
It was one of those two.
Yeah.
We were talking like 10, 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
So that was like my first senior rugby. Played Hampshire under 18s, and then towards the end of that season into the summer, I ruptured my ACL. Had full ACL reconstruction.
How old were you then? What, 18? 19?
Yeah, I was 18,
Wow.
19 in the October. And of all the times, 6 weeks before, one of the guys that used to do the PT at Gosport, if you remember Joe Pickering.
Yeah.
He managed to wangle something for me, and I was meant to go and have trials at Worcester Warriors at the time. I was going to do like a week training camp. So, but I did my knee 6 weeks prior to that, which wasn't too great. But had that surgery in the November, and then I was back playing first game of the season the following season. So I was back in the September.
So you were playing what, flanker around that sort of period? Were you flanker?
Yeah. So I played 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Around that time, and then come back. I was a fair few kegs heavier than what I was, and ever since I've not been able. Not shifted it.
Yeah.
So I moved either to 8 or I played hooker. To which is the position now played all season this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I come back. I did half a season at Gosport while I was at university, went to Chichester Uni.
Yeah.
And then I did a season and a half at Chichester while I was at uni, while they were playing National 3.
Yeah.
So level 5. And then last season, or the season of my final year of uni, I weren't enjoying it anyway, so I went back to Gosport.
Yeah.
For what was two seasons,
Yeah.
I think it was. And then my second season of coming back was captain at Gosport, which obviously felt like a massive achievement to captain my boyhood club,
Yeah.
which was pretty surreal in a sense, which was good. And then we were kind of going down the leagues, and it's not that I wanted to feel like I was jumping ship,
Yeah.
but I knew in a sense that if I wanted to make myself better and be a better player, I had to move to a better team.
Yeah.
To which then found me moving a little bit up the M27 to go to Havant, and which I've been there for the past four seasons, 5 if you include that really weird season during COVID.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah, and in between there, I've made 9 Hampshire caps.
Yeah.
Captain the county last season. I also played for Sussex while I was at Chichester. I managed to play at Twickenham with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, now part of this Havant team, which we took the club to Twickenham for the first time in their history last season.
Yeah.
And then this season, very successful, been able to get ourselves back up to level 4. So
Yeah.
that's currently my journey, as long-winded as it may sound.
No, for those that don't know as well, being a Gosport boy going over to Havant, that must have
Yeah.
you must have had to talk in the mirror a few times there, mate, as well, wasn't it? Because it's
a little bit. There's a lot of competition as well for positions, so I've had a lot to kind of put myself through.
Yeah.
Playing. I played a lot of twos rugby in the first 2 seasons, and then out of the first team. So to now be 4 seasons deep, and I've got maybe 76 caps, I think now, for the first team.
Yeah.
Yeah, paid dividends, I think.
Yeah, fair play to you. So obviously you've played in pretty much nearly every league up to sort of level 4 where you're at now, and you've pretty much dabbled in. Is the golfing class a massive step, or is there sort of a group and then another sort of big jump? Is sort of level 5, level 6, 5, and 4 roughly like a fairly continual, gradual, or is there big steps between the two, the 3 leagues, and the leagues below? Were they pretty much just, if you're in the right team, it's an easy league just to carry on up? What's your opinion of how that is? Because I know they've reshuffled everything as well, so probably when you played before, it was different to what it is now.
Yeah. So obviously they reshuffled more for geographical reasons, didn't they? And the fact that they want to get more teams playing rugby.
Yeah.
But I think now you go any lower than level 5 and you're playing county rugby, you're playing counties rugby anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of depleted the idea of having a level 5, level 6, level 7.
Yeah.
As a couple of seasons ago, you went all the way back down to London 3 leagues, for example, before you even got into playing
counties and stuff.
Counties and stuff like that. So, but I find in comparison, last season, so not the season just gone, the season before. So in comparison, we had Horsham that came up. They came up undefeated from the league. The only game that they lost was at Twickenham in the Patrons Cup final.
Yeah.
That's the only game they lost all season.
Wow.
And they finished second from bottom in our league this year. Or was it? But yeah, second from bottom in the league this year. So it's, I think from the league below, from league level 5 to level 6 to level 5, I think is quite a big jump if you don't have the the close-knit group that you probably had the season before. And to be fair, it's not so. It's more that the teams are probably more structured, and probably a little bit quicker,
Yeah.
and a little bit more physical.
Yeah.
Certainly found that over the last season or so, and we'll definitely probably find that going into level 4 this year.
Yeah.
Like we've had pre-season games where we've played like Worthing, or we
Yeah.
played Guernsey last year
Yeah.
in pre-season, and like they were tough games. Especially Guernsey. We played Guernsey away as well, so not exactly an easy place to get to
No.
in the Channel Islands there. So yeah, that's always been tough. It was obviously good. It was good experience, I think, for the lads as well, because we didn't have a full first team squad the whole time. We had lads that play twos, and the
Yeah.
odd maybe third team player that's played twos a few times as well.
No. Okay.
But it's a good stepping stone, I think, and I think going into level 4 is going to be a tough journey this year.
Yeah.
But if we can pull together, show the physicality that we know that we've got, and our defence hopefully prevails and puts in that solid shift, I think we'll be okay in that sense. But it does come down to the speed of play. I think the further you go up,
Yeah.
how fast like ruck speeds and things are, and how you'll find patterns of play and stuff are, and just how well drilled they are more than anything else, I think.
Do you foresee a bit of a recruitment drive at Havant, or has the coaches sort of said we're going to stick with the team, make sure that we sort of stick to the lads that got us promoted, or is it what's available? They'll take opportunity because I mean, as you know, I'm speaking to hopefully a couple of the coaches, your coaches next week, to sort of get their opinion on it as well, to understand how they've changed the model. But have they sort of brought you all together and said, lads, we want you to put your best foot forward for next season, and then if the right player becomes available, we're going to have to go after him? Or
Yeah, so I think it's a case of like, obviously, we want to be able to keep as many lads that played this year
yeah,
as possible, for the right reasons, of course. But like we've always, ever since that I've been there, obviously we went over, like there was a handful of us from Gosport that went over at the
yeah,
same time, and we went over for the right reasons, and we've managed to mould and fit in with
yeah,
like the philosophy and the way in which that they want you to be.
yeah,
And I think that will be the case with recruitment. We're always looking to have and improve and then get
yeah,
more players and everything like that. And like going into this level, we're going to need that strength and depth. We've got 26 league games to look into next
yeah,
season. We've got an 8-game league stint at the beginning
yeah.
from September.
Wow.
So it's going to be a pretty big pool of players in some sense that we'll probably have to look to pull from.
Yeah,
So we'll need that strength and depth. So the recruitment drive is something, whether it's as big as maybe it should be, or if it's bigger than what it should be either, I'm not 100% sure, I'm not going to lie. But we know that if the right player comes along and they fit in, they'll fit in, and then they'll get the game time that they'll deserve by showing up, putting in the work, and getting on with everyone, and that just not just on the field at training or anything like that, just in general and something in a social sense as well, because
yeah,
we all still love a bit of a social as well, which I
yeah.
think is probably one of the big things about us, and how we're such a close knit group, because we all love to be around each other, especially after game day.
Yeah, brilliant. So where, in your opinion, then, where does that sort of player pool come from? Obviously, level 4 is probably the highest any sort of Hampshire team in our area have been for a little while. Where does that available to, or lad, they're going to have to conversation with lads hopefully moving into the area, or lads that are willing to travel? Or is it a case of the twos are going to have to really probably up their game, because you've got a very good two set up. A lot of lads that are probably could flit into the ones quite easily. But will that be able to continue in the Nat 2 level?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously being in the centre of the south coast is not exactly a easy position to be in the likes of your teams in London, so like your Kent
Yeah,
teams and things like that. So obviously they've got probably one, a lot more money, and two, they probably got a larger pool of players to kind of pull from and probably attract. So in that kind of sense, we try to promote the way that we are. So how we are, we like to try and be that family club, the club that looks after their players, not just by being that financial gain, if that's going to be something that we're given this season or whatever, or not. But like, we always make sure that we look after our players, and make sure that everyone feels like they fit in and feel welcome. And I think that's a big thing, and a big thing that I can vouch for, being an outsider moving to the club. And I think that it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be the best way to describe it, because I couldn't tell you how far afield we're looking to pull players, or what, if they fit in and they work well with the coaching staff, the lads and everything, then perfect. They're going to be perfect for the team, perfect for the squad, for the club. If they don't mould well and they don't get on with the coaches, or they get on well with the players because they're being a dickhead, it's not going to work either.
No.
So it's just having that balance and knowing that the person's going to be right by the way that they are. So we can only see. Pre-season's a few weeks away. I guess we'll find out who turns up over the course of the next coming months to see how the recruitment drive has kind of paid dividends, really. Yeah.
So they told you how many wheelbarrows of cash they're going to be paying you for each game next year?
Nah, not yet. Not yet. We've been given no sum as of yet, but we'll find out sooner or later.
Obviously, as you tapped on earlier, you had that injury before your potential door opener for your opportunity for a trial. Did that ever come back again? Did that literally close because of your injury? Have you had any sort of inkling that anyone's watching, or has anyone been able to put you in the limelight again? Obviously, you've been working through, playing decent rugby throughout for the last few seasons, or do you see your progression to higher rugby within the Havant team now? Is that pretty much where it is? Your opportunity passed you by because of an injury, and then that was rugby just closing the door on that sense?
I think obviously it sounds like a real basic cop out from a lot of people. It's like, I had a bad knee injury, it ruined my career, and all this and that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not making that as an excuse or anything. But like you would say, probably yes, those things, like that kind of opportunity has not been something that's been given back or been available, which is gutting. Don't get me wrong, but also at the end of it, it's not the end of the world.
No.
Like, I've now moved to a club where they make it as professional as possible without making it professional.
Okay.
So, like, come like game day and everything like that, they make sure that effectively we got nothing to worry about other than just turn up on time.
Yeah.
Everything else they'll do for us.
Okay.
So timings, like putting the kit out and everything like that. Everything else, we just make sure we got our boots, basically.
Yeah.
Our boots and shower stuff, and then the rest is all sorted. So, like, in that sense, like, currently, Havant is, for me, is the place to play rugby for, especially in the area, or along the south coast. So, I don't think there's any better place to kind of go to make that step. Like I say, we've got first team level 4, our second team playing level 6, and our third team are playing level 8. Level 7. Sorry. Do you know what I mean? So like, we've got 3 teams in 3 very competitive leagues.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, it's a bit of a no-brainer with regards to where I'm kind of looking to stick around and play my rugby for the foreseeable. Only if something incredible arises would I maybe look to maybe play somewhere else. But the likelihood of it being that good, to turn my head will be something short of a miracle, I think, in that kind of sense. But yeah, at the moment, I'm really, really enjoying it at Havant, and I think we've got the sight, the foresight to want to progress as high as we can.
Yeah.
To make it back into the national leagues now for the first time since, I don't know, 20 years ago, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or almost pushing on 20 years ago,
Yeah.
is somewhat of obviously a bit of a stalwart. So it's really, really good at the moment, and we've got the potential to really push on, and to make something for the club and make something really special there. So that's where I'm currently at the moment with the rugby side of things on that front, and
Yeah.
it's in the area, there's no better place.
So obviously Worthing's going to be probably the closest derby next season. Obviously you
Yeah.
guys are in the same league. We've obviously recently had Liam Perkins and Matt McLean on. Obviously they've recently gone to Petersfield. They sort of said that Worthing are in a bit of a transitional period. So
Mhm.
it's probably fair to say. Have you guys sort of set a target of mid-table safety next season, then build on, or is it a case of go out there and just see how it goes, or you guys think actually solid we're going to go promotion charge, or how's the sort of the lads feeling for next season? Obviously, with a nice, fairly local derby against Worthing, who have been probably the top tier in the local area, really. Apart from obviously, as you said, sort of Chichester Uni having that dabble in and around the National League for a period. Worthing have pretty much been there or thereabouts for a long period for.
Yeah.
And to put Havant in that same bracket, that must be quite an interesting proposition for a lot of local lads as well, because a lot of people used to look up at Worthing and think that was unachievable. Now, obviously, you've got Havant that's a little bit closer, and obviously in the same league. So, do you think that's made it more accessible for the South Coast as well, for lads to actually aspire to be playing in the national leagues on the South Coast?
I'd say so, yeah. I think Havant's definitely a bit more accessible than what it is to get to Worthing.
Yeah.
Definitely more centralised anyway, that's for
Yeah.
sure. And I think it will make a big difference, I think, for that. So I think it is going to be very interesting. I think we are essentially, I think, being optimistic, I think it'd be nice to obviously finish mid-table. It's not really something that we've kind of talked about, like next season's goals as such, but I think probably the biggest goal will be to stay up.
Yeah.
Like you say, use it as a season to find our feet. Especially in the first few games, like probably those first 8 games, will be the real testament to knowing what the league's all about. Being the first time, like I say, in 15 plus years since being back in the league, kind of thing. So,
what is your first game? Is it at home, or have you got an away day first game of the season? Or
we are at home actually.
Nice. So it's not a bad way
I
to
believe.
start.
Yeah. So yeah, not a bad way to start the campaign. That's for sure. Yeah. So yeah, I think that will be our target. It will be to stay up.
Yep.
So we can get to grips with it, and then we can then tackle the season after with all our might, and knowing what we're heading ourselves in for.
Yeah. So obviously some of the lads are probably coming towards the end of their careers. Like obviously the lads that sort of went across from Gosport were obviously the Degans, obviously top lads, top rugby players. They're probably what mid to mid 30s now, probably.
Oh, pushing. Well, I think Wes is 37. I think Wayne's 36 in August. So yeah, they're pushing on a little bit in that sense, and I think.
But can you tell on the pitch, because like Wes could find space on a phone box, and same with Wayne as well. They're both top players that could have probably played further up the leagues as well, but obviously
absolutely
lived and died for Gosport, and obviously went across up the roads. They don't look out of place, probably stepping up that level.
Absolutely not. And like where's since for example, like obviously Wayne made the plunge before we all did. And he's just been unfortunate in positions more than anything else. But then so was Wes, and he transitioned from playing someone that played 9 his whole entire life to after a season and a half at Havant, the last 2.5 seasons he's been playing back row. So
Yeah.
he's been playing 7 week in, week out, and there's been no looking back for it. So
do you still find him loitering at the back of the ruck rather than getting
Nope,
involved? Do you, no,
absolutely not.
he's actually in
Yeah.
there. He's not just suddenly thought, "Oh fuck, I'm not 9." He's just trying to
No.
spray passes out again.
Not at all. Not
Fair
at
play
all.
to him.
And I think that's probably just from where he played rugby league for so long as well. He always
Yeah.
got stuck in that. So
Yeah,
it's just no different to that, apart from he loves a high tackle. But especially these law changes, or the law changes from last season anyway.
We'll put
But
that down to his age, mate. He's obviously getting on a bit. Isn't he?
getting a bit on, isn't he? Yeah, exactly. He hasn't never had to tackle like that before. So
No, no. He's
they've
just
all been
not.
cover tackles.
That's it. So there's probably going to be a bit of a transitional period, probably to a couple of seasons for them. Are they looking at sort of bridging the gap and going into coaching? I know you obviously get on really well with them, or is that kind of?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, they've both got young families.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a case of however they find that they're gonna want to make their weekends. I think more than anything else. So
Yeah.
not that I can pass too much of a comment on it. But I personally, I don't really think that they really would.
No.
But if they do, they've got a lot of knowledge to share. So both would be pretty good at it either way, whether they do or don't.
Yeah, because I can't imagine seeing them running around having threes in sort of level 7 again. I can't see that. They'll probably leave on that level. So fair play to what they've done. Obviously, this season, Hooker, you've had a blinding season there, mate. How many trophies did you pick up at the end of season dinner?
Got 2. Well, 3 if you include my made-up one. I got players player and supporters / like player of the season and top try scorer.
Yeah, so you got 20 tries this season.
20 tries in 22 games. Yeah.
From Hooker as well, and they weren't even just off the back of them all. Some of them were
not all of them.
No, some of them were at least 5 or 6 meters out, weren't they?
Hey, one of them was even from the 22. Thank you.
What, they're 22?
Well, yeah.
You're 22.
No, I wish. Yeah. One in that would be.
Yeah, imagine that. Do you think the pitch at Havant's probably helped the club's progression as well? Obviously, not having to lose so many games and bottlenecking their sort of season, because that happened for a long period of time over there, didn't it? Obviously, they had the pitches that kept flooding. They probably ended up bottlenecking a lot. Do you think that's helped Havant develop the way they want to play as well? Has that helped you guys being able to stamp your authority on games by knowing how to play on that sort of pitch?
Absolutely. I think it's been a massive thing, especially when you come to training as well.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to worry about going out on a boggy pitch and potentially training being cancelled because the pitch is flooded.
Yeah.
We can go out in all conditions. We can still get a session together.
Yeah.
Got good floodlights. Pitch is well protected. We've got those trees barricading the pitch, haven't we? Really,
yeah.
And obviously, then we got the
stand on the other side,
and the clubhouse on one side as well. So I think in that sense, like the pitch is very, very good. And it has obviously it's helped when we've had to go to places that have the 4G as well.
Okay.
Which is obviously good because we know what the turf and the ground's like, and we know how to expect to play it, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, it kind of has a bit of that counter effect because of the away games that play on grass. Then there's that obstacle, but we've all played on grass our whole lives.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like second nature, really. You just have to adapt ever so slightly, but when it's a good day, it makes absolutely no difference in comparison. So yeah, I think having that pitch and that facility from a playing perspective is really good, and training as well. And obviously, it opens loads more avenues for the club themselves for some form of revenue and stuff like that as well. So it's a bit of a no-brainer for the club when they did that. I know they had a bit of a tough season, especially the first half of the season. Anyway, they had like I think it was 8 away games in a row. So it was a tough one that time. But I think that was the season before I went over there, actually.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's been having that pitch is amazing, and it's such a good thing to have. And yeah, I really enjoy training and playing on it.
Because sometimes you've been able to sort of have Friday night games as well, haven't you? Is that so? That's probably helped you guys being able to free up your weekends and sort of have that social aspect as well. Bring the sort of the team together. Has that helped the club sort of be
Yeah.
adaptable? Have many clubs sort of accepted that within the leagues and said, "Yeah, sod it, we're going to come down on a Friday night"? Or
A few times. Not has it been like the first team fixtures have been put on a Friday night.
right?
In pre-season, we've always played Worthing on like a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Typically the Thursday before bank holiday weekend, and it tends to be or had been. But there's normally like getting the twos to play on a Friday night. Like we'll all go down and watch those that are playing on the Saturday, and then vice versa. Will usually be if we've got a home game as well. They'll try and get it on either before the game. Sometimes they play like a double header. Or the ones will play after the twos play.
Nice.
Or we'll get the twos that play on the Friday night. Bit of Friday night lights and something for the boys to watch and cheer on, and then
it puts money in the bank as well. Then it puts back in the club and gets the supporters. It gives them a whole weekend of rugby, doesn't it? So it's been perfect in that sense for them to probably push forward. So obviously you guys just went up. Is it London? Is it London 1 or what's it called? That South Central or something? Is it
regional South? Regional 1. South London, South Central, or something like that. South Central.
I've lost track of how many. So the teams that you went to, which one's probably in the similar sort of setup as Havant? Who do you think is probably going to really stamp their mark on that league next season and hopefully be up with you guys for the season after?
So London Welsh were very good towards the end of the season. They were very good, and they nearly beat us at home. So I reckon they'll be up there and they'll be gunning for promotion. I think Camberley again. I think they'll be chomping at the bit to hopefully thankful that we're out of that league. And to give them that opportunity to try and win it, especially considering the arrogance that they came down to us 2 seasons ago, when Wimbledon got promoted. They come down to us saying that in 2 seasons they'll be up in National 1, and yet they're still there in Regional 1. So they've done a very good job over that 2-year time period, mind you. But
they've always been like that, though, Camberley, because I remember when we were playing them in London 2, which was level 6, level 7, when the season we sort of come down, and they were flying in that league, weren't they? But they come down just absolute tools, weren't they? And I don't think it's changed. So some clubs like that, they don't move forward because they sort of believe their own hype than actually just getting it done on the pitch. Whereas
absolutely. So I think they'll be the 2 teams to watch out, especially in that regional 1 league. I think will definitely be those 2 teams battling it out. I think.
Nice. So that'd be a good league to probably keep an eye on as well. So
and Jersey, sorry,
Jersey.
Jersey got promoted, so they'll be one to keep an eye out for as well, I think.
Yeah, that'll be, and then obviously the league below, Petersfield, have just sort of popped into that league. Probably going to hopefully try and close the gap on Winchester and poop their party again as well, since they've got a SO postcode. So that's already and tots, So any SO postcode lads have got to be sort of kept down there. We can't be letting them going up. But
no chance.
No, that's it. So with your 20 tries, did you set a target at the start of the season? Did you say, right, I'm going to put this many on the board, or do you sort of set personal targets and keep them to yourself, or do you sort of take wages with the lads and just say, I'm going to do this? And
I mean, over the last few seasons, I've always been around like the top somehow. Been around like the top scorers in the team.
Yeah,
But we always had a little laugh with our nine because the last 2 seasons he pipped me. And we always used to have like a little bit of a laugh and a joke,
yeah,
like the first half of the season and that going into the second half of the season. It was like, oh, I'm on X amount now. Like, say if he scored or whatever, it's like, oh, right, he's one ahead or one behind or whatever like that.
yeah,
So it's not really been something that I always kind of say, oh, let's set out to go and try and score or try a game
yeah,
or whatever. It's just a case of like, I just want to score. I love scoring tries.
yeah,
Like, so it's not something I test to say, oh, I'm going to go out and score 2 today, or
yeah,
I'm going to score this amount of tries by the end of the season, kind of thing. It's just very lucky I've got a good team
yeah.
around me, and help play to those strengths, and I'm able to obviously get the ball down and secure them really more than anything else. So yeah,
So
like,
your nine hasn't resorted to sort of rather than passing and putting you through to let you head. He's gone and
every now and again,
sniped it
every
himself, and
every
just
now and again, and he gets away with it. So
um. So leading on to that, then, mate, who's the best player that you've had the pleasure of playing with?
playing with, I mean, there's a few.
Yeah,
There's a few. I mean, I've had a few that have gone on to play the Prem.
yeah,
Like, I know, obviously, Perky said about Joe Marchant on one of your last
yeah,
podcasts. Like, I had the pleasure of, I was in London Irish Silver Group with him when we were like 13 years old,
yeah.
and I managed to play with him through county.
Nice.
Played under 18s with him. I've played with Joe Batley.
So
Great,
Joe's actually on a couple of pods before you, mate. So
yeah,
we're recording this a bit ahead of time, but
yeah.
he's on a couple of pods before, mate. So he's
So
obviously at Bristol, and
exactly. So I've played with him growing up since he started, whatever age that was.
yeah,
I think he started when we started playing contact. I think it was.
yeah.
So
I
like
think
since
about 6.
9 years
He
old.
said. I think he said in the other day. So
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
think he's
Well,
started.
yeah. So earlier than what I thought.
Yeah,
So I played. So I've been played with him ever since then until like he left for college or whatever. Played with Ollie Curry. Um, played for Irish in the Premiership, Bedford Blues, in
nice.
the camp and that, and recently played for Chinna this season when they got promoted.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I've been a good hand for a few players that I've played with, and been very good. So yeah,
Perfect.
got up with that, I think.
So who's the best player that you played against?
Best bit of a tough one because you could play like some outrageous players, but you'll never know their name.
Just
But
know when
like,
they've run past you.
yeah, it's like, oh, right, you just stepped me in a yard of space, or ran over me and made me
Yeah.
look a fool or whatever. But I think on paper, probably the best player I've played against would be Justin Bishop. I think it was when we were in London One at
Yeah.
Gosport. I was 17, I think, maybe 18 that season.
Yeah.
Played against East Grinstead, and Justin Bishop was on the wing. After playing over 250 appearances for Irish,
Yeah.
25 Ireland caps. so,
No.
so yeah, it's probably played against. Yeah, I'll probably say would be him, but obviously I've
Wow.
played against like Joe Marchant and
Yeah.
Ollie as well, growing up as well. So yeah, it's been a few of them a bit like that.
That was obviously when East Grinstead were paying lads, and then it
Oh, they were
all sort of
pumping big time.
it was it all come crumbling down, and they obviously the geezer started taking the doors off the changing rooms when he left and stuff. Then he took the
Yeah,
scoreboard down the
the
lot.
seats out the stands and everything. Yeah,
It's and that's where rugby is, and that's probably where Havant probably they're trying to avoid being so dominant on one funder as well. So they're obviously there's a lot of stuff that I see on your socials and stuff. You do they're the club are doing a lot of things right, which is really good to see, and they're trying to develop their own stuff. They're starting to get like quiz nights and starting to trying to put money back into the club, and
Yeah,
obviously the sponsorship deals are available. You guys are going on tour this weekend
yeah.
as well. Where you off to?
Oh, gone lovely Swansea. Yes, exactly. I know.
Who come up with that one?
I dread to think. So yeah, it's literally Friday. Come back Sunday.
Any games or just literally just to piss up?
Nah, just a bit of a shant, really. I think.
Swansea.
But
Wow.
yeah, I know.
Here, lads, you got us promoted. We're going to Swansea.
And it still cost us all 200 quid.
Has it? Oh, Christ! They've even made you pay for it. Oh my God!
Yeah.
How many coaches are going up? Is the twos, the threes, everyone going, or was that just the
Yeah.
first team?
So there's only like, I think I say only, it's like 42 of us all together.
Not bad.
And that's over like the twos and threes and obviously the first team as well.
Nice.
So and like the threes, or they call them the Mariners, they go and do their own stuff half the time anyway. And they went to Poland, I think.
And you lot get Swans.
For quite recently, but obviously that they go out and they fork all of that out themselves. So
Yeah.
they're all a bit older and probably got a lot more money than what.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe half of us have got, but yeah. So yeah, Swansea at the weekend. So going to be interesting to say the least. I think.
Yeah, I can imagine. Obviously, you've probably come across quite a few coaches in your time. Obviously, there's probably a lot of them that have had an impact on your career. Who's the best coach that has impacted your career? There's obviously probably potentially a few that have done different bits. So if there's more than one, more than welcome to call them out, mate. Because I think every player's got a different coach that's affecting them at a different time.
Yeah, absolutely. I probably would say probably Wellesley. I think.
Yeah.
He was there. He was the first team coach when I first played senior rugby at Gosport. Yeah. He was also the Colts coach as well at the same time.
Yeah.
And obviously he was also the DOR at one point as well. But I think he has to be probably the one of the best coaches I think that I've had. Just the way that he was, and that he drilled basically defence into everyone.
Yeah.
And that was our kind of like our area that we had to nail.
Yeah.
That and the basics, just basics. And I think that's taught a massive thing.
Yeah.
It's just to show that no matter how good they are and how hard they run and fast they run, as long as you hit them harder and you watching what they're doing,
yeah,
then it doesn't matter how good they are, you'll still put them on their arse, basically. Yeah. And I think just the way that he dealt with the club, he managed to get Gosport in that position over those handful of seasons to get them into the position that they were when they were fighting in the league against the likes of like Havant, and like like Hampshire Cups and stuff like that. I think, yeah, for a small little town of Gosport on a little peninsula, it isn't exactly the easiest places to get to.
No,
I think to be able to be performing in that environment in those leagues, he's got to be probably one of the best coaches I think that I've had for definite. So absolutely him.
Few people have said the same about him. He found that magic touch. He had that Midas touch of bringing everyone together and
100%.
Beasted a lot of people, but got the best out of everyone, didn't he?
Absolutely. So. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of it. Like especially when I was a youngster, he invested that time in me as well.
Yeah.
Like, although I might have had like the skills and stuff like that, he still put the time into me to teach me little tricks, tips and tricks and stuff like that, like to gain that edge. At the time in the position, obviously I was playing on the back row.
Yeah.
And there's still like tips and tricks that I still think of and look to use now still.
Yeah, quality.
And like they're things that you just don't forget. And yeah, I've got a lot of time for the time and effort they put in, especially for me. as well as my time playing first team in the early stages
Yeah.
of my senior rugby career, I think.
Do you think that helped you being able to get into the team earlier on? Because I think a lot of clubs have got a bit of a disconnect between Colts and first team rugby at the minute because of probably potentially COVID. There was a bit of a blip with. Do you think you being able to be blooded in at sort of 17 against some of those big, rough, hard bastards, and do you think that probably put you
Absolutely.
on the right path?
Absolutely. I think at that time, I think that I feel very, very grateful in that sense. And I think that's something until maybe 2-3 years after, like the likes of like myself, like Tom Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
Ben Roberts and that, and even Rory got into like the first team and that, like the youngsters after, I
Yeah.
think then started taking a piss, and I think that's what ruined it.
Yeah.
Because at that point they were doing all the right things to get the young lads in. They're getting
Yeah.
them involved in training on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they were getting them involved on like match days and stuff like that if they were coming to watch and things like that, and like pre-season and everything. Like I'd come in and I'd be joining in gym sessions and stuff like that, and then it all has that like domino effect, and
Yeah.
everything starts kind of like clicking in that sense, and then you notice that you're being asked to help run a defensive line against them running their team plays and stuff like that on the Thursday night before they have a game on a Saturday,
Yeah.
and things like that. And I think that's what helped the most, is that I was lucky. Like I said, I got bled into it
Yeah.
nicely in it. I mean, it kind of helped in some sense that my old man was the manager as well, but I think that was maybe a little bit. I think he took that on more when I then started playing. So, but even then, he managed to get me in the gym with Wes when I was 16, like because he used to play with him. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've been lucky, and I was lucky in that sense to be able to start playing at a young age.
Yeah.
So then, when I grew into it more, I could maybe look to be that person that did that for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it just enables me to kind of be fearless in a sense, because back then I did not give a shit in the world who I
Yeah.
was playing against or what. If they were being a knob to me, I would laugh in their face at
Yeah.
17 years old, some old ugly bastard
Yeah.
looking to punch me or whatever. I was laughing in their face,
Yeah.
and like at 17 years old, being a little back row just running around causing mayhem at ruck time and like shotting people that didn't
Yeah.
expect it was probably one of the best feelings that you probably get. So yeah, I think with that, getting bled into it so early is definitely helped, and is amazing, is massive, and I think that's something that a lot of clubs I think kind of missing out on.
And Gosport going back to it, so I think they've got the Colts Academy. So I think Polly's now going to be part of that.
Yeah,
He's sort of doing I think he's going to be part of the coaching setup with that as well to give a glide path and a transitional path into the first team, which is really good. You
yeah,
touched on your old man as well. Obviously, your old man helped coach me, and he probably brought the best out of me at the time when I sort of got into Gosport's first team. So massive shout out for you for what your old man done around at Gosport, and obviously where he managed to get probably the best out of me. And there's a lot of things that when I carried on playing, I used that he taught me as well. So probably having your old man doing that for so long around you probably helps sort of come off the
yeah,
pitch, and he's probably telling you what you've done wrong, and then
yeah.
and then you can sort of digest it together. So he's top man, your old man, and massive help for Gosport as well. And it was great to sort of have him around the club again, and because he managed to get a few seasons under the Wellesley belt as well, didn't he? So did you
Yeah.
manage to get games with your old man when he was?
Nah.
No, just a little bit.
Unfortunately, not. The only time I managed to play with him was unders and overs game,
Yeah.
Boxing Day, which was always fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the only time I've ever actually been able to play with him, unfortunately.
So obviously, Havant have got a very potential tough season next year. what's your pre-season look like? Are you going to sort of switch off for the next sort of 2-3 weeks before pre-season starts, or have you got a separate program, knowing that your position, you've got to be a little bit quicker, a bit more agile for next season? What's your personal work-ons for next year?
So there's always some form of program available. Like
Okay.
we're really lucky that one of the lads that actually joined the same season that I did just become a doctorate at the Portsmouth Uni
Okay.
and got a PhD in biomechanics.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a season, 2 seasons out of him, and unfortunately early retirement due to I think he's got osteoarthritis, something in his knees. So yeah, not great. But so he's a doctor at the uni, and he manages to pull in guys and girls that are doing like S&C and stuff like that at the uni. So they'll come in, put together sessions for us, like pre-training, do our fizz and that for the summer, like pre-season and all that things, and they'll put together personalised plans depending on what our goal is and what we want. So we've got that in the bank. So, but for personal goal, one, I need to get this cast off for a start.
Probably not ideal to be trying to throw with, mate. It probably might get in the way.
Yeah, just a little bit.
What happened there? Was that an injury at the end of the season, or a knock that you've had to have done? Or
no, so when we played Barnstaple in the semi-final of the Papa John's Cup, I got tackled, landed on my back, and so my arm landed like that, for example. Someone landed on my hand.
That's going to sting a bit.
Went right back. So yeah, and I decided to still carry on and finish out the half. Yeah, with it taped up. But and the first thing I had to go do was throwing the line out. So
did you throw it straight?
Oh, it was the worst throw I've ever made. But I think that was just down to not blaming the taping. I think I just had the tape too far up my hand, and it was a front ball as well. And honestly, I might as well just thrown it to the 9. It was bad. It was that bad.
Just handed it to.
Honestly, it was awful. But every other line out until the half, and I was like, I physically can't do anything more because I'm wasted here right now. I could carry fine, but when it comes to like defending and trying to like grab, not a chance. It was weak as anything. So yeah, as soon as I can get this off, then
is it broken?
So thought it was. I'm in a bit of a predicament at the moment. Like, I saw the nurse practitioner at the War Memorial in Gosport.
You may as well have gone and seen the corner shop, to be honest, mate. Probably.
No, you say that, to be fair.
Well, they probably better. They improved, have they?
Yeah, it's also my missus' auntie as well. So
fair enough, maybe not.
Yeah, so I was in and out of an hour. I can't complain. But I was in. She obviously went and got an X-ray and everything.
Yeah.
Like, just looking at it before we went for X-ray, she was like, "It's got to be broken."
Right.
So she viewed the X-ray, thought it was broken. Like, my skate thought it was broken at first. Potentially like the distal radius, as well. Or instead, went to the fracture clinic on the Friday. Doctor was useless. Must have just looked at the X-ray from the Sunday and was like, "I don't think it's broken. We could just put you in a splint, basically." It was like, right. It was like, I'm not quite sure about that. Like, all he did was like touch it, feel it. It's like, does it hurt here, hurt there? It's like, well,
sure, it was a doctor. It wasn't just a cleaner. You just ended up in the broom cupboard.
Honestly, yeah. I might as well have. But he was like, there's 3 options. Like, you can either have a splint and see how it is, basically. You can go into a soft cast, which is this one. Like, you can still kind of squeeze it. A bit more breathable, but it still does the same thing. It's still rigid and whatever. Or you can go in obviously a plaster cast. So I just went for the middle option. I didn't know whether a plaster cast would be necessary really, but I've gone in this one as a bit more free in the sense of that it's not as heavy, it's not as thick and Yeah,
Cumbersome and
whatever.
arsehole, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I
what's
went in
the
there.
target for that then? Now, have you literally just got to wait and see? Is it actually broken, or has anyone reconfirmed that? Or
Exactly. So that's what the next plan is. So I'll get this off either at some point this week and then get a splint on it and then get it re-x-rayed. Well, I was always going to get re-x-rayed anyway.
yeah,
I'm either going to hold out to take it off next week or I'm going to get it off this week, get a splint on it and then go for a re-x-ray next week.
before tour?
Well, exactly. It's just, it's ratty and horrible at the moment. But yeah, so it's a bit just trying to figure out logistics and when's the best time to do it. So more than likely, I'm probably thinking next week I'll probably get it off for safety reasons more than anything else.
Yeah.
So we can do it that way, and then I'll get it re-x-rayed because again, Mrs. said to her arm about what the doctor said,
Yeah.
and then she then got a second opinion from another radiographer.
Yeah.
And she's like, I definitely think that's broken. So, which is why I'm then having it re-x-rayed again when
So
this comes
obviously,
up.
if it's broke, then what's the plan? Does that put your pre-season behind? Does that put
It
you at risk
will
for the
to an
first
extent.
game of the season, or?
Well, that's what I don't know until I get some answer and I get an understanding of what the next process will be, because it's already been 5 weeks since it happened.
Still hurt?
A little bit, but I think
because you're not using it.
Exactly, and at the same time, it'll be a very bad sprain.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't broken, so obviously it hurt loads, I can't really move it, so this is the thing. So I won't really know until it comes off, and obviously we'll get it re-x-rayed and whatever else. Then I'll get told by the professionals on what it is.
Yeah.
So I have to wait and see. In that sense, so I've been kind of cycling gently, not really been using my hand to get. Luckily, work's just down the road, so but I just need to start getting in to do something as soon as possible. So I've kind of just taken a bit of a rest over the last, like I say, 4 weeks or so. Just been a long, hard slog of a season. So yeah, just taking it until then, basically, and then see what next week brings, and then I'll be looking to hopefully get back in the gym, start strengthening the wrist up again. Fingers crossed if I get the news that I want. And then I can start sorting myself out really more than anything else. Getting myself prepared, ready for the start of pre-season, so I can hit the ground running with that. To then bring in to the start of what would be like pre-season games and into the start of the season, hopefully raring, ready to go, and make a bit of a difference.
Do you reckon you're going to have to sort of work on, what's your work on then? Obviously, as you said, it's going to probably be a bit quicker next season. Are you going to have to sort of lose a couple of kegs, as you said, and try to sort of adapt your game, or are you going to try and just get fitter with the same size? How do you foresee next season having to be for you?
I think I need to lose I need to lose some weight for a start, and that will automatically bring fitness up. Just not having to carry so much around the pitch. Considering like how quick I am on my feet, you would be surprised considering how much I actually do weigh. And you look at me, it's like there's no way you can do that, and I still managed to do it. So but I definitely need to lose a few kegs, which hopefully will make me a bit faster in total as well. But obviously, I'll ultimately just get fitter. Really, I think it's probably the main thing. If I'm fitter, the rest will kind of come. All in it, and just I guess in some sense get a little bit stronger as well. But again, that'll come with it if I'm getting in the gym. So I think that's just all I need to do is just to sort myself out and just get in and get it done more than anything.
So a lot of the lads have to sort of work on their own work-ons. They have to sort of, is there a bit of, at the club, it's a bit of self-policing. You've got to do that. None of
Absolutely.
the coaches don't start coming and telling you you've got to do that. Otherwise, you sort of put yourself out of the window. Is that self-responsibility critical for you guys as a club?
At the time being, yeah. If, of course, we're looking to start paying next year, then there's going to be an element of a contract involved.
Yeah.
To which, what stipulation is going to be on said contract?
Yeah.
Who knows? Like, are those fitness goals and things like that going to be something that are going to be implemented into it? And if you're not meeting those goals, you're breaching your contract, kind of thing. So we don't know on that sense, of course, until they're kind of published and brought to attention.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming will probably be done at the AGM, which is in a couple of weeks or so. So
yeah,
we may find out then. And who I don't particularly know on that front, but yeah, I think it's just going to be a case of there's a lot of lads that take a lot of self-care and they work out a lot anyway. And they keep themselves fit and they're doing their things. So I think it's just a case of all of us doing that, all buying into what's going to be a monumental season.
Yeah.
Buying into that ethos of like we need to all get fitter, stronger, better.
Yeah.
To make sure that we're living up to those standards of what level 4 is going to bring.
So with the Papa John's community as well, do you guys get to play against? Like you're not in that?
Nah. So it only goes up to regional, so level 5.
Right. Okay.
Anything up, unfortunately, is not. I think purely just, I'd imagine, just
of the amount of games,
length of the season. Absolutely, yeah. Because like I say, we'll have 26 league games next year, whereas this year we only had 22. So
what's probably the furthest journey you got next year? Obviously, apart from Guernsey being a flight away and everything like that, but
Canterbury maybe. Canterbury, yes.
Colchester's what, about 3.5, 4 hours as well. It's like that's
obviously Canterbury's the other side of London, so
it's sort of Kent and it. So that's sort of 2.5, 3 from Havant. So you got anything over the west coast or nothing too far?
We're all east. I think the furthest west we go is Oxford.
Oh, okay. So you've got Oxford Harlequins in your group. So it's probably an hour and 20 in it, roughly.
About 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours maybe.
Depending on which route the bus driver takes. And how many times you stop at Tot Hill or at Cheveley or something. But so, Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, mate. We've obviously taken it back to sort of the grassroots. Obviously, I couldn't think of a better guest that's been through the leagues and had an honour of sort of playing in the same club as you, mate. And I'll put you up there as probably one of the best players I had the opportunity to play with, mate. So I really appreciate your time for coming on, mate, and being able to talk about the Havant way, which is quite depressing for a Gosport boy, but kudos is where it's at, mate. They're making shapes, and really look forward to getting the coaches on in a couple of pods after you to sort of see where they see the vision going forward as well, mate. So,
no, I appreciate it as well. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for having me on. And yeah, it's been good to see what you're doing. I think, especially these kinds of things going, like you say, through the leagues and stuff like that. I think it's quality, and I think a pleasure to be on, and thank you for taking that time.
Nah, top man. Cheers, Sean.
No worries. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Well, that brings this pod to an end. If you made it this far, I just want to take a moment to thank you for listening right through and express my gratitude for following yet another episode of Rugby Through the Leagues podcast. So, in today's episode, we spoke with Sean about his opinions of the recent successes over at Havant Rugby Club, and also how a serious injury at a crucial time closed the door on his potential rugby career. However, it's not all doom and gloom, as he is still playing a great standard of rugby with his mates and basically pro with how Havant have made everything set up over there. Next week, we have Charlie Beach on. Charlie is the founder of the Front Row Support, where he's actively trying to support players' exits from their current sporting professions. We also discuss his great career across the rugby spectrum and the eye-opening costs it is for players to drop down the leagues to carry on being pro or semi-pro rugby players. We really set the world to rights on this one, so it will be another great interview with another great guest. Once again, a huge thank you to you all Thank you and goodbye.